Recorded live with little or no editing, it's Defense Up. I'm Run 7. How you doing? Today we're going over Bishop's defense. I have not seen this at all, so we're going in blind. We grade on 5 different criteria. It's who you're using, their placement, their power levels, their ISOs, and what kind of mood I'm in. Let's get to it. Team number 1 is an AIM team. This is pretty traditional, kind of filler junk team. I can use this on offense if it's big enough to like do some cleanup work on some different things like... Gosh, I haven't used mine in so long, I don't even remember what I use it for. Oh, I use it on the OG Sinister 6. It punches way up on those Sinister 6 teams that don't have Doc Ock. But it's fine for a filler defense. However, you do need a placement change. Monstrosity should probably be actually replaced with Scientist or Researcher. Researcher should probably be replaced with Researcher and then put in the middle. You want your minions in the middle. Doesn't really matter where. This team is just filler garbage. The changes that you make are not going to make much of a difference. But we do split hairs here at Defense Up. So, yeah, you have adjacent healing going on over here. You have a speed up mechanic going on here. And then Monstrosity does like I think it's like an offense up adjacent mechanic or something, and then Researcher does some more adjacent healing. So maybe we would want Researcher here. I don't know. It really doesn't matter. Put your minions in the middle, keep Scientist Supreme and Graviton to the outside. Probably at this power level, probably worth it to make them war ready. If you got the ions, go ahead and do it. Healer, Striker, I would make him a skirmisher. Raider is okay. You could also make him a skirmisher so he comes back and tags them with more of those bleeds. Healer on, this is perfect there, healer. And then Striker on Monstrosity is correct. Scientist would, or a Researcher would also be a healer. So let's get a placement change, make him war ready, change at least one of those ISOs. And that would give you the A for this team. Your power level is fine. This team isn't really worth investing in. If you don't want to take them to war readiness levels, then that's fine. It's just, you know, you're just passing up on some bonuses. The time to invest in war ready characters is now rather than later, so that you reap the benefits now rather than later. You know, eventually we'll get MODOK and eventually we'll be building up this team. It's just gonna happen eventually. So if you're plan on being a long time player, then go ahead and do that. As is, I think this is probably like a C+. You got quite a few little tweaks to do. Again, not a very important team though. Team number 2 is a Marauder with Brotherhood combo build here. So everybody here is a mutant villain except Juggernaut. Juggernaut is a mystic. Strife is still getting a lot of speed. He gets speed off of villain mutants. So putting Juggernaut in here is a little bit of a deficit to Strife, but it's really the bonus you gain by speeding up Magneto in that combo is outweighs it by far. Your placement is great. You've got her going under stealth. If you had other people in here, I would say get her away from your tanks, because then she could keep her evades or deflects or whatever and give them to Sinister, who can then spread it to the rest of the team. But with who you're using, it's probably best to have her invisible. You may have overinvested taking her to 13. I usually recommend to people take Mystique to gear tier 12. She's invisible a lot. She's usually one of the last to die. She's an inconsequential player who just steals effects and gives them to Sinister, who then does stuff with it. So she doesn't really need a bunch of gear and stuff like that. Usually just making her a level 5 skirmisher for the extra focus is awesome. Making her war ready is fine. As a skirmisher, she's laying out that extra bonus. If you're never going to take her to war ready level, or I mean, if you're never going to take her to a level 5 skirmisher, then you should probably actually go with a raider on her. So it would benefit you to put the level 5 skirmisher on her, although she is kind of, at this point, she's basically a trash tune, so maybe don't, I don't know. But for those of you just building up Mystique, I recommend going with a war ready raider or a level 5 skirmisher, your choice. Fortifier on Strife is absolutely correct. I like Raider on Juggernaut rather than Striker. I don't think he has a basic worth putting a Striker on for, and the damage potential from Raider is much better. Wow, 7 stars on Juggernaut. Might want to take him to gear tier 14. The multipliers on gear tier 14 are much better than 13. You'd get a lot of value out of that, being he's 7 red stars. Remember, red stars don't make a bad tune good, they make a bad tune bigger. Okay, Magneto with 6 red stars. Why don't you make him war ready as a raider, and then you got Sinister doing Sinister things. Farm that last star on him, man. No reason not to. he's over the hill. His day is coming past, but he's still a good toon. All in all, you're doing pretty good. I think the biggest thing is change the ISO on Juggernaut and then make Magneto war ready. That's the biggest thing. So I'm gonna give you a solid B for this team. Team number 3 is a Mercs team. I think that maybe you should consider changing places with Riot Guard and Merc Lieutenant. I think Korath the Pursuer is going to need more deflects than Ultimus, but that's a personal choice. I'm not going to dock you for it. They're all war ready. They're all strikers except for Taskmaster, who's a skirmisher, and Ultimus, who is a skirmisher. I like Ultimus being a skirmisher. You could also make him a striker. You could also make him a raider if you want to. He's one of those toons that doesn't have great synergy with anything, but I think skirmisher is probably the way to go. I'm honestly not as familiar with Ultimus. I'm familiar how to attack into Ultimus, not how to attack with Ultimus or how he plays out. So, but I think skirmisher is great. You're just getting some more vulnerables on the field. All in all, I think this is a fine build. This is a fine build. I think you're doing everything right. Personally, I would swap those 2 Merc minions, but you don't have to. So I'm going to give you a solid A for this team. Good job. Team number 4 is Wave 1 Avengers with Blob in here. This is a new one. You also replaced the other Avenger with Minerva, so that's kind of interesting. Now, Thor isn't getting a lot of synergy off of Minerva or Blob. However, Hulk and Thor are getting some deflects, which help those resistance checks for the blinds. So you're thinking about things, and I like that. I like that. Personally, I like Heimdall in here. He gives 100% resistance to Thor for those blinds. And Thor has the synergy with Heimdall to gain more charges, although the Avengers don't. But at least Thor is still gaining charges when Heimdall gets hit. I like your placement. Minerva in here is just a great plug-and-play character. I think Thor should definitely be a raider on this team. A lot of people make him a striker. I think that was the wrong way to go. We're finding out more and more that raider is a much more valuable ISO than we originally thought. You're getting much better overall damage with the raider than you are the striker. But that's okay, not too bad. I'm gonna say A- for this team. You're thinking about it and it is different, so I like what you're doing there, but there is a better build, and I definitely would like to see that ISO get changed. So A- on that team, not too shabby though. Team number 5 is a Fantastic Four with Doom comp. Okay, let's see. We need to get She-Hulk in the center and Doom. Well, let's fix our placement altogether on this. Okay, how do we do it with Doom? You want She-Hulk adjacent to 2 members of Fantastic Four. And you want Doom where he's still gonna kind of collect some damage and get his speed meter cranked up. Okay, so let's go Thing, She-Hulk, Sue, Doom, Mr. Fantastic. Let's do that placement there. Let's change Sue to a skirmisher. Let's change She-Hulk to a skirmisher. And then make him war ready. Okay, so on most builds, I would suggest She-Hulk being a fortifier, then a healer, and then a skirmisher. But you have 1 skirmisher and 3 strikers. Also, Invisible Woman has pretty good synergy with the skirmisher ISO 8. So making her a skirmisher for clearing positive effects or whatever she does on her basic or something is a pretty good move. But the thing is with the Fantastic Four, they get called in for a lot of assists, which create combos. So you generally want 2 strikers, 2 skirmishers, but you're throwing in Doom here as another striker. That's why I'm saying She-Hulk on this build should be a skirmisher. So let's change those ISOs. Let's change that placement. Pretty good team. Your power levels are wonky. You definitely want to build up She-Hulk to make this team much more scary, and then get her adjacent to Fantastic Four members. So when negative effects splash onto her adjacent members, she gets more charges faster, and she can do her She-Hulk things. Okay, I'm gonna go with a B on this. I think it's pretty wonky. It's a formidable team and all. There are much better Doom comps, but I think honestly, I think Doom is gonna be better on a different team, and you should just go with a traditional Fantastic Four team. Team number 6 is that Inhumans hybrid. This is an old hybrid that we see a lot. It's still stubborn. It still works well. Your placement is fine. Skirmisher, Raider, Striker, Skirmisher on Coulson. Okay, I think Skirmisher on Coulson is an interesting choice. It's not terrible, and you've already got him at 4. So either take him to 5 or change him to a Raider on this team. Or you could change him to a Striker, actually. This team, you're either going to have 2 people giving out vulnerables and 3 people soaking them up, or vice versa. So Coulson bounces around a lot. He has AoE, chain attack, stuff like that. So he's a good Raider. He also does some pretty good damage. He has some crit built into his kit. However, on his basic, he does turn meter rewind. So as a Striker going in there on those double taps, he rewinds that turn meter, and that's really valuable. So either way, Striker or Raider, he could go either one on this team. I don't think Skirmisher's a great pick. I don't think he needs a focus boost for what he really does. I mean, I think he does clear some positive effects and stuff, but that's more inconsequential. You really kind of want that crit damage with the Raider, or you want the turn meter rewind with Striker. Otherwise, everything you're doing here is fine. Take Yo-Yo to Skirmisher level 5 so that she always lands that offense down. And then I think you got yourself a winner. So I'm gonna go A- on this, because that Skirmisher is still pretty powerful. Yeah, I'm gonna go A- on this. I'm tempted to give you a B+, but I'm on the fence there. It's still, you know, this team's still pretty good. It's just we're starting to learn all the counters for it. Okay, something just went up there. That was weird. Okay, team number 7. This is a web brawler team. You're using hero brawlers and web warriors. She's a web warrior, not a hero brawler, but you're using hero brawlers here in conjunction. This is a great filler defense until you get Scarlet Spider unlocked, until you get Punk Spider unlocked. And even then, you might want to leave it on defense until you get the team really fleshed out, because new teams get DVs. People don't understand how to attack into them, and they either overcompensate or they screw it up. So this is a great team to be throwing on defense for right now. Make sure you've got the T4 in Miss Marvel so that she is placing the vulnerable on everybody's attack, creating the triple hit combos off of all of your hero brawlers. Psylocke doesn't really have a home right now, and you probably overinvested in her at the time of this recording. Although in the future, hopefully she's part of that Apocalypse team that's rumored. That would be kind of nice. Making her a Skirmisher is probably the better choice, but at this time, being she doesn't really have a home and doesn't really have a purpose, probably just don't even invest in Psylocke right now. She may be getting that rework in the future, and you may end up changing it to something completely different. Scopely loves to have us build one ISO and then change it to another because they like us to waste our money on their offers. Don't waste your money on their offers. Okay, as far as the other guys, I recently read a Reddit post about Spider-Man OG Peter Parker. I think we should be going Raider on Peter Parker. I think Skirmisher is a bit of a waste. All that, you know, level 1.5 ISO Skirmisher just to make sure he lands that stun, when all the benefits of a Raider ISO are fantastic. So I like that you've got him a Raider. I am changing my opinion from Skirmisher to Raider on this. Good job. Striker on Miles is good. You can also go Skirmisher on his team, but it's really only effective in raids, so go Striker on Miles. And then you got Skirmisher on Miss Marvel, and I think for this build, actually, you might switch all these guys over to Strikers for the triple hit combo off of Miss Marvel, unless you don't have the T4 in it, and then it's not really working the way it's supposed to. And then you might just change out Miss Marvel for Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl is an excellent fit if you don't have the T4 in Miss Marvel. So a lot of things going on here. On this particular build, you should probably change these two to Strikers, but the benefit you're getting from this high investment in Raider is substantial. Maybe the best thing to do on this team is replace her with Squirrel Girl, and then maybe find a different replacement for Psylocke, something else. I mean, you should be getting Pocket Dimensions coming out like 28 hours from now or something, so maybe you should just replace Psylocke with Scarlet Spider. You should be able to unlock him fairly early in that event. I don't even know where to grade this. It's so all over the place, like depending on which way you go. I'm gonna give you a B and just say, you know, you got multiple directions you can go with this team, and depending on how you want to go, you can do some different stuff. It's a filler team for right now. It's a temporary team for sure. All right, moving on to team number 8 is a New Warriors with Loki and Deadpool. I believe there is some synergy with Deadpool and his daughter. I don't even know what it is because I've never even thought of using them together. So maybe there's something important there. He's honestly so outclassed as far as power is, and he doesn't have Domino in there to keep him reviving. Not that she works very well. She has that invisible taunt over her head anyway. Loki in here giving Cloak the speed to go before Deathpool. Okay, I don't like Deadpool as a 5th on this team. I think you should figure out a different plug and play character. If you're not building up your X-Force team, then, I mean, it's not really a waste. You're just using him. But I think there's better synergies to be had with just some standard plug-and-play characters. I don't know. Like, if you're not using Doc Ock or something, you could throw him in here, give a little bit more stability to some of these tunes who are a little bit squishy when coming out of the gate. This team kind of needs those blinds from Cloak to survive. So if you can do something to protect that, you're doing better. Like if you put Emma in here, it narrows that time window down for people to get in and do stuff. Or if you put in a pre-taunt tank like Drax or Red Guardian, it forces them to waste attacks on somebody else rather than coming in here and closing off this team. So I think the biggest thing is change him to something else. Change her to a striker. I'm not sure about Raider. Raider's a secondary pick. I can see the value. I just think her coming back, they call so many assists off of each other that one of them needs to be skirmisher, one of them needs to be striker. So I do like the striker. It's not a waste. She has lots of AoE attacks and stuff. So that's okay. But I do like her as a striker better. Loki should probably be a skirmisher. He has a minuscule health bar relative to this new meta that we're in. So make him a skirmisher, preferably level 5 if you can. It'll probably help you out in the arena. If he doesn't get clipped off early, then he has that higher focus to place the defense down on some of these tunes. So worth it to go level 5 skirmisher on him. Otherwise, that's okay. The other thing is you need to swap places with these two. She gives out adjacent offense up, and it's kind of a waste on your low-level Deadpool here, because he's probably going to die in an opening AoE or something, and he's not getting much of a multiplier with that offense up. So swap him with Cloak. Okay, I'm kind of disgusted by your choice here with Deadpool. I don't like it. I'm unfamiliar with whatever synergy it is with him and his daughter. Maybe it's something amazing, but I don't think it's worth this low-level invested Deadpool being in here. So if you're not going to take him up to like 120k to hang with this team, then I don't think you should do it. And I don't think you should do that. I think he's better on his team where he belongs. I'm going to go with a C+ on this. This just kind of offends me. Otherwise, you know, you're okay. I don't like this ISO, and I don't like this ISO, and I don't like your play. I guess there's a lot wrong. Yeah, that's a solid C for this team. Solid C for that team. Let's get some of those things fixed. All right, team number 9 is an Eternals speed meta team. This is nothing new other than you have X-23 in here. I see you're breaking up your X-Force. I'm willing to bet that you have a decent investment in Domino and a fairly large investment in Negasonic, and I'm thinking that you should be using that team for offense. They still do pretty well against Mercs. Really depends on what you're seeing in your opposition. If you have Mercs at the right power level, you should probably still be using that. However, if you don't want to, this is fine. The thing is, there's no point in putting her in here. I understand that people are going to be dropping below certain thresholds, which gives her the speed up, and then she goes out and uses an ability block. The thing is that I go into this team with my Eternals, Emma, Cable, and Loki. I go first, I rewind turn meter, I knock you out of the field and totally win, and she never even takes a turn. So it's kind of a waste. Like there's basically like one team that really beats this, which is the faster version of this team. And so putting X-23 in here is a waste. In fact, putting Cable in here is a waste. In fact, running any kind of a speed meta team is a waste because you either go slow, faster, fastest, or Infinity Watch, right? There's always something better than whatever speed meta you're using with the Eternals. So I think we should stop using those speed metas and just use something else. your choice, really. You are kind of limiting them to what they can use. They do have to come in here with an Eternals triple speed team to beat this. So, I mean, that's a thing. Maybe your opponent just doesn't have that available to them. You know, maybe they only have this speed team and it's going to be a coin flip whether they go first or whatever. So, is what it is. I do think X-23 is a waste. I think you should just save your X-Force team. And otherwise, I mean, it's fine. I think I'm going to give you a B for this. Let's try using something else. I do notice that a lot of people are switching her over to, well, not a lot of people. A few people are switching her over to a skirmisher on these speed teams because the heals aren't happening. You're not getting any value out of her as a healer. So having her as a skirmisher and getting more vulnerables on the field does add some value. So that's a thing people can do. I don't think you really should. I just think you should just not use the speed team. Okay, moving on. Team number 10 is Heroes for Hire. We have Fortifier, Striker, Skirmisher, Striker, Raider. I think Iron Fist definitely needs to be a skirmisher. Although, compared to his other choices, Striker isn't terrible. You have 2 people putting out vulnerables and 2 people soaking them up. I really think Skirmisher's the way to go on Iron Fist. Just get more vulnerables on the field for more overall damage out of this team. He's not war ready yet, so it wouldn't be a terrible thing to do. You should make both these tunes war ready, both Misty Knight and Iron Fist war ready. Otherwise, everything you're doing here is fine, and this isn't a terrible travesty of an ISO choice. It's just that this team usually works with, Weapon X is coming into this team and they're using heal block. Or the Infinity Watch is coming into this team and killing and reviving, and those rejuves aren't really popping off. It's just the heal that goes into his kit. So you don't get a lot of value out of healer. I think you get the most value out of skirmisher. There's something to be said about fortifier because of the heal and revive. But honestly, I think skirmisher's the way to go. Otherwise, it's perfectly good. So I'm going to give you a very, very, very light A-, almost an A-, because this isn't so terrible. If they were war ready at this level, I'd probably just go ahead and give you the A. But since you got to make them war ready, and I don't like that ISO particularly for my personal opinion, I'm gonna go A-. Okay, this has been Bishop's Defense Up episode. If you want to have your defense featured on Defense Up, links in the description. Please hit that like button. Help me beat that metric on YouTube. I am trying to get this channel monetized. It would be nice that I could bring in that money to help, do better content for you guys. Because everything that I earn off of Twitch and YouTube goes right back into my tech and my software and, better emotes and, better backgrounds and stuff like that. So help me out, hit those buttons, all that stuff. And remember, don't just have a good game, be good to yourselves and others too. And I'll catch you next time. Bye.